The grandiose narcissist made bad decision, doesn't take responsibility for anything. He blame everybody. Boys, today I want to talk about narcissism. All right? In the course of your life, you're going to have to deal with those kind of people. Okay? And the most common narcissist that you have is the grandiose narcissist and the covert narcissist. Today I'm going to talk about the grandiose narcissist. The grandiose narcissist is the one who is the most. It's easy to spot them. The grandiose narcissist is very easy to spot. They're very noisy. They're overconfident about what they do. And they want to be acknowledged. They want to be seen. Okay? I'm the best on what I do and blah, blah, blah. And they try to control and manipulate people. Okay? This is what narcissists do, boys. A narcissist seek power and control. Okay? Never forget that. This is what narcissists do. They try to control you, manipulate you to have power over your mind. They try to control and manipulate you. Okay? And they're looking for narcissistic supply. They're looking for a little puppet. They're going to follow them and do what they said, and they're going to do their power trip. A narcissist, that's what it is. You want to do his little power trip. And the grandiose narcissist, like I said, he is very noisy. He's very overconfident. He wants to run the show. And I'm going to give you an example. All my examples are going to be related to work. Okay, the work environment. You work with a grandiose narcissist. And like I said, he wants to run the show. So you let him run the show. He make all kind of decisions. You do the job. And the job is a freaking mess. Because grandiose narcissists, most of the time, they don't really take too much good decision. And because of the bad decision, the job is a mess. A grandiose narcissist will never take responsibility of anything. If the job is a mess, he's going to point finger at everybody else except themselves. Despite that he take the decision to do that way. You see what I'm going with that? You see it? This is what the grandiose narcissist is. And guys, to judge people, never judge somebody with what came out of the mouth. Always judge somebody with their action, with what they do. The sweet talker in life, no. You could listen to them, but you have to take a look if the talking match their action. And the grandiose narcissist, it doesn't. The grandiose narcissist made bad decision, doesn't take responsibility for anything. He blame everybody. You cannot, again, let's go back to work. If you deal with a grandiose narcissist, this is the part that is very, very frustrating. And for me, I learned that the hard way. And there's nothing wrong that I learned that the hard way, because I learned it. All the bad experience that happened in your life, those bad experience, that's good stuff. That make you stronger. You analyze what happened, and that help you to deal with life. There's nothing wrong with that. As a man, bad experience, there's nothing wrong with that. You use that at your advantage later on. So let's go back to my example. The part is frustrating. You got to deal with a grandiose narcissist. And the grandiose narcissist, go back to my example, he's going to say, oh, we're going to do that job that way, that way, that way. And you're like, dude, what you're saying doesn't make sense because of this, 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 and this. It's better if we go that way, that way, that way. It's just logic and common sense. You know what they're going to do? They're going to come back with all kind of stupid reason to try to put your reason what you said that doesn't. They're going to try to do gaslighting. They're going to distort the reality. That's what they do, guys. Despite that you just speak logic and common sense, they're going to distort the whole freaking thing, telling you that what you're doing is wrong and telling you all kind of reason that doesn't make sense. And you listen to them and you're like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to do that way, blah, 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 blah. And what happened is you're going to get mad because the grandiose is stupid. They don't use logic and common sense. They just want to do the power trip. You have to do it their way. You cannot have a logical conversation with them. You can't. You cannot have a logical and rational conversation with them. You can't. Because they want to do their way. They're going to try to put you down. That they can do the power trip. And the more you argue with them, the more they're going to come back with all kind of stupid shit that doesn't make sense. And believe me or not, guys, they're there. There's people like that. And when you spot them, you know what? You don't argue with those idiots. The grandiose narcissist, you don't argue with them. It's a waste of time. You waste your energy. You're going to be down there, just try using pure logic and pure common sense that normal human beings use. And you're not going to go anywhere with them. And people like that, they're there. People like that, they're there. They want to do the power trip. And you don't argue with them because, like I said, you're not going anywhere. You're going to get mad. You're going to get frustrated. And when you get mad and frustrated, the only person that you hurt when you get mad and frustrated, it's you. You're hurting you. And nobody give a F. Nobody give a F. I use the word F. I post those videos on several platforms and I try to be platform friendly. Nobody care. Nobody cares if you're mad. All right, boys? Nobody cares. And you're just hurting yourself. So those people, don't engage with them. Don't argue with them. Just don't care about them. You don't give a F about them. You try everything that you could to avoid them. You try everything that you could to not spending time with them. And you know what the grandiose narcissist is going to do? I'm going to give you an example. Okay? An example, your boss is a grandiose narcissist. The grandiose narcissist always going to try to downgrade what you did. He's never going to acknowledge that, man, you did a freaking good job on that thing. That thing was difficult, was hard, and you nailed it. Me, I'm going to say why I said difficult and hard. I'm an electrician. I'm a PLC guy. Okay? Sometimes you have to optimize a machine and you have to program it. You have to install new gadget in it. And it's hard, it's difficult. You have to learn the new gadget and program the whole thing, optimize it, and work with the operator. In my mind, when I said you do something that's hard and difficult, this is a state of mind that I have. Because that's what I do for a living. Man, when you do that job that is super hard and difficult, the grandiose narcissist never gonna acknowledge, you did a good job on it. That thing was hard, was difficult, good job. He's gonna try to downgrade what you did. You did that thing right because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. The only thing that he wants to do is have control of your head, to lower your self-esteem, that they could control and manipulate you. And you're gonna meet people like that, guys. You're gonna meet people like that. That's what I told you a couple of examples that when you meet people like that, always try to put you down. Despite that you did good and all that, you need to identify them and don't make the mistake that I did. You know the mistake that I did back in the day in my 20s? Have a Grandiose Narcissist was my boss and everything I do for him wasn't right enough. And I have two boss before. I was considered to be the top guys and what I'm doing was great and all that. And I had genuine boss. I had good boss before. But that Grandiose Narcissist, everything I was doing was wrong. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do better. And I bust my ass even harder for him. And despite that I bust my ass even harder for him, it was never enough. It was never good enough. So I was busting my ass even harder for him, sorry. You see that the sickness that I'm still telling you? You work harder for him, try to prove him how good you are. You're a good employee, I'm gonna work harder. And you work harder and harder and harder. And you end up burning yourself out for what? And you question yourself, how come before everything was fine? I got for the last 15 years, I got bosses, I was doing good. How come with that one thing I'm never good? I'm never good enough for him. And I bust my ass and I try to prove him. I want you guys to understand what a grandiose narcissist is and don't make the mistake that I did. That's why I'm explaining you that. I'm not explaining that to whine and oh poor me, blah blah. No, no, no. I want you guys to understand it. And when you work for somebody like that, there's no point to busting your ass. There's no point to bust your ass. Because of all the reasons I already told you. See? It's important to spot them. All right? Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to ask you guys to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video. I need your help, guys. I try to grow up. I'm just getting started here. I try to grow up the channel and I need your help. I need your help. Share, subscribe, and like that video. On my next video, boys, I'm going to talk about the covert narcissist. And after the covert narcissist, I'm going to put more example about work. When you deal with narcissistic people at work. I'm going to put more example. And again, my goal, guys, I want you to be able to identify these people and behave appropriately, that those people are not going to hurt you. That's my goal. Okay, boys, I will see you on the next one.